There's a number nobody in the financial industry wants tattooed on your brain. It's not your credit score. It's not your salary. It's not the balance on your investment app that you check 17 times a day. The number is $20,000. And I'm going to show you, with real science, real data, and zero fluff, why crossing that number doesn't just change your bank account. It rewires your actual brain. Here's something I've noticed. Talk to someone with less than $5,000 saved. Ask them how things are going with money. They'll describe it like a weather report for a storm that never ends. I'm just trying to stay afloat. One bad month away from disaster. It's always something. Now talk to someone with $20,000 in liquid savings. Same job title. Same neighborhood. Same bills. They'll sound like a completely different species. I've been thinking about investing in something. I feel like I finally have options. I'm actually excited about my finances. Same brain. Different number. What is going on? Let's start with the most obvious question. Why 20,000 specifically? The math actually makes sense. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American household spends around $5,000 a month. That means 20,000 is roughly 4 months of expenses. And that 4-month threshold is where behavioral psychologists say something called survival mode. A chronic, low-grade stress state your brain lives in when resources feel scarce, begins to lift. Here's the neuroscience that will genuinely blow your mind. When you're below your personal financial security threshold, your brain is running a background process around the clock. 24/7. It's called threat detection. Job loss. Car breakdown. Medical bill you didn't see coming. Your brain is scanning, calculating, bracing. And this is not a personality flaw. This is evolution doing exactly what it was designed to do. Your ancestors who panicked about scarcity survived. The ones who were relaxed about empty food stores didn't. Their genes didn't make it to you. So your brain is literally wired to stress about empty reserves. But here's where it costs you, and this is the part that stunned researchers. A 2013 study published in Science, one of the most rigorously peer-reviewed journals on the planet, found that people experiencing financial scarcity show a measurable drop in cognitive function equivalent to losing 13 IQ points. 13. That's more than pulling an all-nighter. That's the cognitive gap between a sharp, strategic decision and a costly, impulsive one. And it happens automatically. Invisibly. Every time your bank account dips below your psychological floor. So what actually changes when you hit 20,000? The first thing, and this one is big, is your time horizon. When you're financially stressed, your brain involuntarily compresses time. You stop thinking in years. You think in weeks. Sometimes days. Can I cover this month's rent? Do I have enough in my account for this grocery run? The future literally shrinks. And this is why the classic financial advice, just budget better, just invest more, just make a plan, misses the point entirely. You cannot think strategically about the next 20 years when your brain is in triage mode about the next 20 days. The advice is technically correct and practically useless. But the moment you build enough buffer, 4 months of expenses covered, your time horizon expands almost automatically. You start thinking in months instead of weeks, then years, then decades. It's not discipline. It's neurobiology. The threat response quiets. The rational, forward-looking part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, comes back online. Let me make this real. Think about a friend, let's call him Deli, making $52,000 a year in Houston. Lives paycheck to paycheck. Every money conversation is about the immediate, the credit card minimum, the car repair, the overdue electric bill. He knows about index funds. He understands his employer does a 401k match. He just cannot emotionally prioritize them. His brain is in survival mode. Then he builds up $22,000 over 18 months. And suddenly, same brain, more runway, he's asking about Roth IRA contribution limits. Talking about buying a duplex in 7 years. Reading about tax optimization like it's actually interesting to him. The brain didn't change. The number did. The second thing that changes when you hit 20,000 is your risk tolerance. But not in the direction you'd expect. Most people assume that having more money makes you more scared of losing it. Wrong. What money actually gives you is emotional permission to take calculated risks. The exact kind of risks that build real wealth. Here's a simple illustration. Your car breaks down. You have $200 saved. You are not making a financial decision. You are in a hostage situation. You take whatever loan the mechanic's financing partner offers. Whatever rate. Whatever terms. You have no time and no leverage. You sign. Now you have $20,000 saved. Same breakdown. Suddenly you have actual choices. Do I pay in cash? Do I take a 0% promotional rate and keep my money invested? Do I just buy a different used car outright for $5,000 and come out ahead? Options. Options are power. But it goes much deeper than car repairs. Risk tolerance at work changes. When you have 4 months of expenses saved, getting fired is uncomfortable. When you don't, it's catastrophic. That single difference changes how you show up professionally every single day. Do you push back on an unfair deadline? Do you ask for the raise you earned? Do you take a call from a recruiter and actually negotiate the competing offer? Almost nobody does these things effectively when they have $200 in savings and rent is due next week. Not because they're weak, because structurally, the power dynamic is completely tilted against them. This is why wealth compounds, and it's not because wealthy people are smarter or grind harder. It's because their financial cushion gives them negotiating access that people living below their threshold structurally cannot reach. The game is rigged, but the way to unrig it is to build the cushion first. The third shift surprised even me when I first read the research. Financial scarcity makes you competitive and defensive in ways you don't even notice. It makes you more likely to view relationships transactionally. More likely to feel a sharp sting of resentment when a friend announces a promotion. More likely to avoid social events, weddings, group trips, team dinners, not because you're antisocial but because you're calculating the cost in real time and the math doesn't work. And in a world where professional opportunities, job referrals, and business partnerships flow overwhelmingly through personal networks, every event you skip is compounding against you in ways you never see on a spreadsheet. There's also a specific, brutal emotion at play here. Financial shame. It's the kind of embarrassment that makes you avoid money conversations. It makes you overspend on things you can't afford to look like you have stability you don't actually have. It makes you not ask for help when you need it most. Getting to 20,000 doesn't erase financial shame, but it quiets it enough that you can start making decisions from logic instead of ego. And that shift alone is worth more than any stock tip. Alright, let's talk mechanics. Because psychology without a plan is just a motivational speech. Step 1. Stop saving what's left over. This is the single most common mistake. People pay every bill, spend what they want, and then look at what's left to save. There's never anything left. The correct order: treat your savings target like a bill that gets auto-paid first, before any discretionary decision gets made. Even if it's just $200 a month getting moved to a separate high-yield savings account on payday, the psychological reframe is enormous. You are no longer saving what's left. You're spending what's left after you paid yourself. Step 2. Attack asymmetrically. Getting from 0 to 20,000 at $200 a month takes 8.5 years. That's not fast enough to feel real. You need at least one asymmetric income event, a tax refund, a bonus, a side hustle payout, something you sell, that you commit in advance to depositing entirely into savings. Not 90%. Not most of it. All of it. One time. The psychological impact of seeing $5,000 in your account for the first time is completely disproportionate to the number. It makes the goal feel real and reachable in a way that $800 simply doesn't. Step 3. Create friction. Put your savings account in a different bank from your checking account. Name it something that means something to you: security, freedom, the number, not a generic label. Make transfers take 2 to 3 business days, not instant. Every layer of friction you add measurably reduces the probability of an impulsive withdrawal. This is not about willpower. It's about design. Step 4. Understand that the account protects itself as it grows. When you have 3,000 saved and you're stressed, you'll dip into it. When you have 18,000 saved, that account feels too important to touch. The closer you get to your threshold, the more the account starts defending itself. Not because you became more disciplined, but because the cost of losing your security becomes too viscerally real to ignore. Here's the part the people selling you credit cards and budgeting apps do not want you to understand. The $20,000 threshold is not the destination. It's the launchpad. Once you have genuine financial security, not a credit line, not an overdraft buffer, actual liquid cash that is yours, your brain starts playing a completely different game. Opportunities become visible that were invisible before. The calculated risks, negotiating salary, starting a business, investing more aggressively, stop feeling terrifying and start feeling rational. This is why I say, your first 20,000 is more important than your next 200,000. Because the first 20,000 is what unlocks the mental state that makes the 200,000 possible. So where does this leave you? If you're below the threshold right now, your financial anxiety is not a character flaw. It's a predictable neurological response to a structural problem. The fastest path to clearer thinking isn't more financial education. It's the first $20,000. Everything you learn between now and then will land completely differently once your brain's threat response powers down. And if you're already above the threshold, are you actually using the cognitive access you've earned? Or are you still running old survival mode habits on a brain that now has room to think bigger? The 20,000 unlocks the door. You still have to walk through it. Subscribe if this hit different. Drop a comment telling me where you are on the path right now. I read every single one. New video every week with the stuff that actually moves the needle. I'll see you in the next one.